Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is England Jones, and welcome to BaylorIC TV World Boxing News. Well, there's a lot of world boxing news going on, and there's lots to talk about, lots to discuss. Some good, some bad, and some downright disgusting. Let me make sure that my sound is up, because, yep, my sound is up. That's good. Make sure you can all hear me nice and clearly and loud, because we've got a jam-packed show tonight for you. Okay. Before I begin this, yes, J124, nice to see you watching. So our show is about to begin, and we're in. Okay, before we begin, just housekeeping notes. If you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button in the corner, the yellow button in the corner, down in the right-hand corner. I think it's going to be on that side, down here. Down there will be the subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, and that will ensure that you get to see our shows live every week. Every interview that's done, the latest interviews you get, interviews that probably the mainstream media don't get, special exclusives, you'll get them just by hitting the subscribe button and go directly to your inbox. And don't forget to follow us as well on Twitter, BaylorIC Boxing, and check us out on Facebook, BaylorIC TV Boxing Channel. It's all there. So yeah. So Glenn, good evening. How are we doing, Glenn? Michael, evening. House tricks, good, the bad, and the downright ugly. We're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the good, we're going to talk about the bad, and we're going to talk about the ugly in boxing. And tonight it's going to get real ugly. And I'll be one of the very few in boxing that was going to talk about this situation. And it's going to put some light on Gennady Golovkin, Chris Eubank, and Triple G. It's going to put a different spin on things that maybe people have not seen, understood, or may not have really grasped the concept of. And we're going to talk about that. First of all, touch on the fact that Marcos Maidana has retired. Yesterday he made his retirement. He retired yesterday. So congratulations to Marcos Maidana for having a wonderful career. His fight, he'll be forever remembered, regardless of all the other fights, the Amir Khan fight, the Floyd Mayweather fights. He will be the man that removed the problem, Broner. He solved the problem. The knockdown in round 2 will always go. It will be a vine. It will be remembered by many people. And the silly dance that Broner did when he got up, I think that's Maidana is going to be somebody that people will always remember. He may not have been the best boxer in the world, but he certainly was very entertaining. And his fight against Mayweather, the first fight, there were people around the world that felt Maidana beat Mayweather, or they wanted to believe he beat Mayweather. And in the rematch, Mayweather showed just why he's the best boxer of this current generation by putting in a masterclass. Even though Maidana caught him with a great shot, I think he knocked his tooth out. I'm not sure how true that was, but he certainly knocked something out of Mayweather's mouth and stunned him. But again, Mayweather showing a great chin, came back and put a masterclass on against Marcos Maidana. So Marcos Maidana, I don't have a hat, but my virtual hat, I tip off to you. A very good fighter, and fights against Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Errol Spence would have been perfect to see how Spence would have done against him like Maidana. He's now, the last time I saw Maidana, he looked closer to a cruiserweight than a welterweight. So good luck to him. I hope he has made some wise investments in his career, and the legend of Marcos Maidana will go on. And I for one will miss Marcos Maidana, a good fighter. How much do you reckon he made for both of the Mayweather fights? It's hard to say. Enough to retire, and he certainly made enough to not want to come back in box again. And he certainly made enough to. But having said that, if he were to make a comeback, and say a year from now, he'd make a lot of money on a comeback. Marcos Maidana, the return, I think people would like to see a return of Marcos Maidana, almost like when Cantona was sort of like, it's a strange example, though, when Cantona was booted out of football for doing that kung fu kick, and then he made that comeback. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see his comeback then a year from now. He's probably managed well, but somebody say, you know what, enjoy, take the rest of the year off. You know, take the rest of the year off. Come back next year. Fights against guys like Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. Fights that welterweight, light middleweight, maybe a fight against him and Canelo. You know, if you feel want to come back, maybe fight against Triple G. So there are fights are there that Maidana could have. There are fights that he could have. So I'm not, you know, even he says he's retired now. When that money runs out, when he says, "Hey, you know what? Your money's running out, Maidana." It's like, really? You're gonna go back and get some money again? So who knows? He's a young guy. You know, who knows? He could come back in the future. So I'm really looking forward to his comeback. Mark Ribber says, I was living at my mum's when Khan fought Maidana. That 10th round, I woke the house up. Yeah, that was a great 10th round. And arguably, in other places, maybe Khan may have got stopped. J124's weight would suggest he's having a great time. Michael Redmond says, Maidana, the man who knocked out Mayweather's tooth. Michael Redmond says, reportedly $6 million in rematch for Floyd. Well, after the $6 million he got, and then the taxes he got on that, they had to pay Robert Garcia, sparring partners, promotion. So I probably knock half of that off me, take $4 million from that, and I don't know, training camp, and they pay $4 million he probably got from that. Who knows? But yeah, the return of Marcos Maidana would be something that I certainly would look forward to in the future, and I think a lot of boxing fans would. So he'll be missed. He'll be missed because he's a character in boxing, and he'll be missed in boxing. Mike Tyson, good to see you in the room. Shout out to Mike Tyson. Okay, so we just talked about Marcos Maidana there. Mike Tyson, you haven't missed much. So that's the first thing. Second piece of news. Kell Brook weighs more than Gennady Golovkin at the moment. So what? 30 days out, this is what Kell Brook weighs. I don't care. I really don't care. It's like when Khan was weighing in against Canelo, and he was doing all that body, and he's doing all that building his body up, and he wasn't going to change his technique. It wasn't going to stop that punch hitting him on the chin. It was just the inevitable was going to happen. So it's like, oh yeah, he's big and he's weighing all this stuff at the moment, and he's this weight at the moment, and I don't care. I really don't care. But Kell Brook, he's weighing 180 or 175 pounds. But is that solid muscle, and is that fully fit, and could he box at that weight? No, he's not going to box that weight, so it doesn't matter. Oh, but Kell Brook, the size, it's not going to matter in fight night. It's really not going to matter fight night, because you've got Gennady Golovkin. He might be a light heavyweight coming down to fight a middleweight, and then you've got a guy in Kell Brook who started his career off as a welterweight. Jumping to the weight. Listen, so I don't really want to get into it. I couldn't care less. 30 days, I don't care. I don't care what he weighs in 20 days. I don't care what he weighs in 10 days. I don't care what he weighs in 5 days. I don't care what he weighs fight night. I really couldn't give a hoot. Does that change what's going to happen when Gennady Golovkin hits him on the chin? Not really. Is that going to change the way he backs straight up when Gennady hits him? No, it's not. Is that gonna change the way his defense is set up? Not really. So frankly, it doesn't matter to me. So the whole his weighing in, and I couldn't give a monkeys. I think Kell's gonna get seriously hurt in this fight. I really do think he's gonna get seriously hurt. But then there are people there who back Kell Brook and think he's gonna do well. From my sources and people that have seen Kell up front, and people have seen him close next to Gennady. Said the size between the two guys is quite alarming. You know, Kel looks like a light middleweight standing next to Gennady Golovkin. So that's what the reports I've been getting. These are people who have no reason to lie or have reason to butter things up. These people who are reliable, who I've gone to many times, and they said to me, "Look, this you can see the size difference. I mean, on picture, on camera, or video, you can't really see somebody. Sometimes people look bigger than they actually are, or fatter than they actually are, and then you see them in person. Hey, you're not that big. I mean, when I saw Spike O'Sullivan, he looked one way, and then when I actually saw him in person, he was no bigger than me. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this guy's a middleweight, and he looks smaller than me, and he was like close to fighting you, and I'm like, okay. And then when you asked him if he'd lose weight, he could lose weight. You see, you get down to like middle. But if you look at Spike, he's like, there was hardly any flesh in him. Like, he's really tight at the weight. So not tight at the weight. There's no flesh to lose. So no fat to lose, in fact. So that's just something to think about and consider. The whole Brook thing, I'm not really convinced. But again, we can go into that in depth, and I'll do a breakdown video of it sooner rather than later. Moving on, let's talk about some other stuff. Liam Smith versus Canelo. You know what? I went and looked at Liam Smith and I looked at Canelo, and it's one thing that's quite clear. I don't have to tell you it. You can see it for yourself. Liam Smith ain't going nowhere. He ain't getting on no back foot and trying to box Canelo. And I believe movers are the worst sort of opponents for Canelo Alvarez. I don't believe Canelo Alvarez does well against movers. Lara, you know, anybody who moves and gives angles, and nah. Guys who come straight at Canelo, oh, he loves that. He loves that. And I just think both guys, Canelo and Canelo and Liam Smith are gonna sit. You know what? Liam Smith is like a poor man's version of Canelo. That's what I look at, because he throws. If you go and look at, there's a highlight video I saw of Liam Smith. There's no like variety in his work. He throws the same punches over and over again. But Canelo throws the same sort of shots, but he throws them with a little bit more class. See, I think Liam Smith could be a damn good fighter if Liam Smith had eased his way into world class, like how Ricky Hatton did when he won the WBU title. Ease himself into world class, fought some guys, you know, fringe world class guys. Get yourself acclimatized up fighting. Get yourself acclimatized to fighting at world class. When Liam Smith gets in there against Canelo, you've got a guy who's fought at world class for a long time. You're now going to get a guy now that, see, Liam Smith, I think, had he fought two, three guys at world level or fringe world level, at least could have prepared him better from Canelo. You know, he's been fighting the guys of that junior guy, and then the guy fought for the world title. I don't know where they dragged him up from in America. He's won the world title, and you know that's nothing to really go on, and to go and say, well, you know, you can now go on and fight Canelo, and fight Canelo at his game. You trying to go and fight Canelo and beat him at his game? That's going to be a punch up. That's basically what it is. Two guys in the center of the ring, or maybe one's going to have his back against the ropes and just fighting for your life. That's what it is. Just a punch up, a brutal punch up. That's it is. That's all it is. And then what Smith is going to find is that at world level, at elite level, the mistakes you may make at British, Commonwealth, European level, and fringe world level, you can't be making at world level. And he's not going to understand that until he's getting hit by Canelo. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a really good fight for as long as it lasts, because Smith ain't going nowhere and Canelo ain't going nowhere. I just think Canelo's just a bit better in all those areas. But I do think Smith will be more competitive than Amir Khan. So, you know, you got a guy who's bona fide a light middleweight, as opposed to coming down from lightweight, moving up to, you know, fight at, you know, light middleweight. So, you know, he's definitely got his work cut out from there. So J124 says Oscar De La Hoya probably didn't know who Smith was 5 months ago, and he's bigging him up like Smith is world class. Well, I think that's a promoter's job to do. One thing about Smith is that he's quite heavy-handed. Yeah, he's heavy-handed at the lower scale of things, and accurate though. Yeah, he's accurate. You can be accurate against guys at a certain level. When you start moving up now against guys who hit as hard as you or harder than you, who go to the body better than you, and put their punch together better than you, and do everything a bit better than you, you know, it's guys. So as I said, Smith is like a poor man's Canelo. That's what it is. That's how I see it. That's no disrespect to Liam Smith. He's just a poor man's Canelo. And if he spent a bit more time at world level, he may have been able to sharpen the tools up a little bit more. You know he's going to come straight at Canelo. You know he's not going to move his head. He's coming out the Gallagher gym. They don't move their heads. They stay in the same spot. They put their hands up. They try and catch punches on their gloves and then fire back. Catch punches on your gloves and fire back. You see them body shots he's been landing on other people? He's going to get the same of it put back on him against Canelo. Listen, I think Smith's going to put up a good fight, and who knows? But I just think that this fight against Canelo, why are you rushing to fight Canelo? What's the big rush? Oh, I think he could cause the upset. Well, I think he'd stand more chance of causing the upset had he actually fought 2-3 guys at world level, and then we could say, all right, okay, so you fought against him, and you did against him, and you did against him. Okay, all right. So you can see yourself, your punch power now. You can see what it's like to fight a guy who's a bit better than yourself, or ease yourself into world class. And even people say, oh, well, who did Tyson Fury fight? Example, who did Tyson Fury fight before he fought into world class? Well, we knew he'd fought a few guys, and he'd been dropped, and he got up, and he'd come back, and he struggled a bit, and we saw him come through some tests. We saw him get dropped. We saw him get hurt. We saw him get wobbled. You saw him go through crises. You saw him come back from fights, in difficult fights. You saw that. You saw what he could do. You saw what he did against Chisora. You saw how he boxed against Chisora the first fight, and he fought against Chisora the second fight. And then you saw how Vitali fought Chisora. So you had some idea of where Fury is at. So Apollo YT. Hello, hope you well. Thanks for joining us. J124, it's the movers who trouble Canelo. Like I said earlier, good point there. Leo Donald says, I agree with you about Smith. He should have boxed a few others climbing the ladder. Yep, there you go. Leo Donald says, but if you're a world champion, you should be ready. This is the problem with too many Roots belts. Now, this is another thing. We talk about all our 16 or 18 world champions. When you talk about the 16 or 18 world champions Britain's got at the moment, very few of them do I call world champions. A lot of them I will call, as Fury said before, British world champions, in the sense that, they fight, but none if they fight nobody in the top 10, Now, Smith is going to fight a guy who is in the top 10, arguably the best light middleweight in the world. I say arguably because I don't think he beats Andrade, but that's neither here nor there. Canelo is probably the best, the most well-promoted fighter in the light middleweight division. Ingram, for the life of me, I couldn't get on the Hangout link the other day. It just came call ended. All right, okay. There's some. If you want to jump, you can definitely jump in and have a chat. No problems with that. Maybe we can get Sergey to come in and have a chat as well. Let's see what we can do here. There's a link. You can jump on the link and you can get in there, Mike, and have a chat. And anybody else who wants to come in and have a chat, feel free. Hit the link there, and you can come in and have a chat and be part of the show. So where was I? Yeah. So Liam Smith, you know, he's trying to show that he's not a paper champion, that he's a world champion. But a lot of these British world champions, as soon as they step into elite level of the world title, you know, they're just title holders. Very few are actually like Frampton. I'd say he's a world champion, not a British champion. British world champion, world champion. Mark Smith, good evening, Mark. Hope you're well. Is this Mark Smith 1 or 2? Is it the Mark Smith that I was talking to the other night? If it is, let me know. And if it's you, please jump in the room. If you want to. Yeah, Frampton, world class. I think he's a world class fighter. Well, you've seen what he's done in Santa Cruz. He's fought Quigg. He's fought Kiko Martinez. So, world class fighter. He fought the best, or fighting the best. The other night, yeah, please jump in, sir, if you can. Appreciate that. World class fighter. So you've got him. You've got Fury. Obviously, he's fought Klitschko. Let's see, and he's fought guys within the top 10. Who else? Lee Selby. Well, he fought. I think Lee Selby fought is mandatory, so got to give him that. And he fought Gradovich as well, who was world ranked. So Lee Selby 3. James DeGale. Need I say more? That's 4. Who else? Liam Swift now moving into fighting Canelo. I don't know, but anyway. So DeGale, of course DeGale. DeGale fought Durrell for the title. He fought Butte, and then fought Porky, and now he's going to fight in October, November against Badu Jack. How come? Why you question DeGale? Of course, DeGale's world class and world champion. He's fought. He's number one. He fought Andre Durrell. He then fought Lucien Butte, and then fought Porky. So of course you got Brook. He fought one guy, which was Sean Porter to win the title. Since then, he's made defense against Yo-Yo Dan, Bizier, and Frankie Gavin. Think what you want of those 3. Yeah, I was suggesting him, not questioning. Yeah, oh, you're slow on the. Oh, of course, and McDonald, absolutely. Yeah, DeGale. Yeah, DeGale's been the most active. I think Fury would have been more active if he wasn't under the thumb by Klitschko. So there's that. I've got more people coming to the room, which is beautiful. Yes, I'm kind of glad because tonight's conversation is going to go. It's suddenly going to turn very dark, very, very dark, and it's stuff that I've sort of come to understand. Saunders beat Lee. Yeah, he beat Lee for the title. Now Saunders has to make a couple of defenses. AJ, you won the world title against Martin. Martin was world ranked, I guess. Brazil was world ranked as well. Fought Kevin Johnson, who was world ranked at one point. Yeah, I guess you could put. DeGale beats Badu Jack convincingly, in my opinion. I think he's got a tough fight again. He's got a tough fight against Badu Jack there. DeGale. Looking fleshy. Don Flamenco, good to see you. Is that me looking fleshy or him looking fleshy? Adam Scott, good to see you in the room. They didn't want Smith to fight someone like Williams or Patterson that could jeopardize his payday. Oh, right, okay. So he's getting a payday against Canelo. That's what you're thinking it is. Okay. Props. Mixmaster Dodger. Yeah, Brook is beating everyone put in front of him. Can't ask any more for that. In my opinion, anyone who's undefeated deserves to be in the pound for pound list. He's beating who's been put in front of him. Well, there we go. I think we've got someone coming into the room.
Yeah, hello, Ingrid.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Yourself?
I'm good, my friend. I'm good. So we're going to talk. Is there anything you want to say about what I've said so far?
Is this what I brought up the other day about the Sky Sports list? Seems similar to what we were talking about.
Yeah, I think Fury mentioned it before, and I talked about it before as well. How many guys we've got around us that, I mean, British fighters that are actually world class as opposed to title holders. America's Go ahead.
Moment we've got so Tyson Fury. I think his win over Klitschko is justified.
Yes.
I think technically he's a free weight. Well, he's a free instead of a one because the Chinese guy he fought in America was a WBO and let that belt go before he fought him. Am I right in thinking that?
Yep.
And I say the IBF took that, stripped him of that belt as well. So I think he's decent enough. James the guy I just heard you speaking about.
Yep.
I think he's good enough.
In here. Somebody said if they're undefeated, if you're undefeated, you should be in the pound for pound. And Michael Redby just cut in and says, "I'm undefeated. I'm on the pound for pound list." Then, yeah. You got to laugh, haven't you?
You have. I'd say that we were talking about the other night as well about being undefeated and that old school fighters weren't all undefeated. I've actually gone back the last few days. I've been watching some of these old fights.
Yes.
And I've got a totally different views now and stuff.
Did you?
I'm very grateful you've put me onto some of these fights because.
Which fights did you actually get to watch?
I've been watching. I watched the Lamont versus Robinson fight.
Okay.
I watched. Is it Vasilio versus Robinson?
Yes.
But the only clips I could find were about 20 minutes of each fight. They weren't the whole fights.
Okay.
But I was so impressed with how Robinson's jab is.
Okay. Robinson versus Gennady Golovkin.
Robinson versus what I've seen so far, mate. That Robinson was absolutely outstanding, wasn't he? Absolutely outstanding.
I know, but there are people if you said, "Oh, Sugar Ray Robinson," they go to the box and say, "Look at all the losses Sugar Ray Robinson had." Right?
Yeah, well,
and they go, "Look
I'm learning in Ingram, and I'm just so. I've made a comment that everyone comments on him, or everyone says how good or how bad this Robinson was, and has never seen him fight. And I'm at the minute, I'm in a process of learning how good he was. So
absolutely. Listen, you name me one fighter that knocks guys out walking backwards. That's a guy who. That hand speed, the punch, the movement, he could box, he could stand and box you, he could slug with you, he could dance, he could do it all, the total package. But okay, let me get back to where we were. But thank you for that. I really appreciate that. The thoughts, Leon Jones's thoughts on AJ Huey situation. My answer to you guys on that is that we're working on something very special for you next week. Where we'll be able to answer the questions to you regarding the Fury situation, regarding Fury versus Anthony Joshua, Tyson v Klitschko. Next week, fingers crossed, right here on BaylorIC TV, you'll have all the answers. That's as much as I can say about that for now. But you'll have all your answers to your questions next week. So, yeah. Brook was mandatory for Pacquiao back when he was with Frank Warren. He has been at title level for a long time. I've got to say he has been. Kell Brook, from what we know, didn't fight Timothy Bradley. He never fought the Amir Khan fight. The Devin Alexander fight never happened. So Kell Brook's had one fight at elite level, and that was for the title against Sean Porter. That's it. Did Peter tweet something today about a presser? He did say there would be a press conference coming up. So I believe after that press conference next week, there will be some movement on BaylorIC TV with regards to the Fury situation. Leon, was there something you wanted to say? No?
I said quite a lot on Fury situation the other night.
Okay, cool.
I'll add. I don't know nothing, and my people who weren't listening the other night is with the Tyson Fury situation is, and the Huey situation. I think it's more to do with government and higher people than anything else. But that's right. That's out there, an opinion that is out there, and people might criticise and say, "What the hell do I know?" And they'd be right to say that I don't know nothing. But that's just my opinion. Just don't see something right with that situation at all.
No problem. Impossible to compare Sugar Ray Robinson to anybody. He boxed Lamotta, and they rematched 3 weeks later. He may have fought in between them 3 weeks. That's true. Cool, says Michael Redman. He goes, Mix Master Dodger says, give Brook some credit. He almost lost his leg after winning the title. I don't know what you want me to say to you. He made a great comeback. Well, I'll give Anthony Crolla some credit as well. He came back and he went and fought a guy that a lot of people thought he wouldn't have beat. He became world champion. Regardless of what you think of the guy, he became world champion. He then beat Barroso, and now he's going to fight Linares. So I give Anthony Crolla a hell of a lot of respect. I've got no hang-ups with Brook, but I just think this fight against Gennady Golovkin is a step too far, in my opinion. But and those are people who are close to the situation, who have seen both guys up close, and have gone, Gennady is far bigger than Brook, and don't listen to the lies what people are saying. But anyway, all right.
And it's a safe fight as well, Grim, as the fact that he can't lose, because if he does lose, he still can go back down. And you don't
it
credibility
depends on how
at
he loses.
147.
It depends on how he loses. You talk about him going back down to 147, but you're going in against. You're going against the elite, one of the best pound for pound punchers world boxing today. That's the first thing. Leon Jones says Brook has one credible win in a close fight in 40 odd fights. So that's very interesting. He said that as well. Hold on, let me just do this. So I'm getting background noises from you.
Maybe it's my fan. Let me turn it off.
Yeah, or you can mute yourself until yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll mute myself.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so he's had one credible win, which is the Sean Portal fight. That does not make him a bona fide world champion for me. He's a British world champion because he hasn't really fought anybody apart from the Porter fight. So anyway, so I want to go into what I really want to talk about tonight. Was there anything else I was going to miss out? Yes, the David Haye scenario situation. It looks to me, in my opinion, this David Haye situation, it looks like David Haye could possibly be fighting Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown comes off his suspension, I think at the end of the month, either the end of this week or the end of the month. So you could be looking at David Haye versus Lucas Brown for the WBA, vacant WBA heavyweight championship of the world. The argument when you hear David Haye talking about, I've got to have a fight, that's going to be that the fans are going to want. So then David will, he's either Fraser Quenda, but that'll be out the window, I think. Either David will say, if I fight Lucas, who would you rather me fight? Lucas Brown or ancient Shannon Briggs? Lucas Brown. I want to become the champion of the world. So you can see David selling Lucas Brown fight. Lucas Brown is coming out of suspension, either end of this week or end of the month. Lucas Brown, David Haye, why not? You see the way when he swerved Klitschko to go and fight Valiev, he'll swerve again. Talk about how Kovale's promoter is spilling BS about Ward recently. Okay, now want to talk about his Andre Ward situation. Did turn up to the press conference. Look, Andre Ward and his camp, or Andre Ward could be a boxing global superstar. His fans, he could have so much more fans. He could have a bigger fan base. But I'm going to hold off on Ward for a second. And I'll tell you why I'm going to hold off on Ward. Because I want to add something else to the mix. Something that I want to talk to you boxing fans about. And I want you to listen to very carefully. And this is very serious. I want to go back to that day, Chris Eubank Sr., the press conference with Conor Benn. And when I first listened to that press conference with Conor Benn, I was thinking, Eubank, you mug, why are you saying these things? I can understand what he was trying to say to Conor Benn. But when Eubank said what he said, were you aware that when he said what he said at that press conference, it directly jeopardized the Gennady Golovkin fight? So here we go. We're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about something called perpetuity, something that Eubank Senior spoke about. He talks about how Warren ripped him off. But let me explain something to you, for boxing fans, and it's a shame, but I want to explain this to you so you understand it, so you can get a different picture of the world of boxing, not through my eyes, but more through the eyes of. I'm going to make a statement here. Liam, are you in the room? Where's Liam? Liam, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Right, Liam. We're going to have this discussion, and brace yourself because it's going to get a bit dark and a bit dirty. I want you to name me 3 fighters that you've seen on television. 3 TV fighters. Any 3 TV fighters.
Brandon Rios.
Okay.
Brandon Rios. Trying to think of different ones.
3 guys you'd go on
Lee
YouTube.
Lee Askins and Kessler.
Okay. Okay. I need bigger names. Lee Haskins. No disrespect to Lee Haskins.
Bigger names. Fair enough.
Big
Cole
names.
Froch.
Froch 1.
Fury
2. Yeah.
George Groves.
3. Okay. 3 fighters. 3 fighters that you could YouTube today. You could click on YouTube and you could see their fights. Correct?
Correct.
No argument about that, right?
Nope.
Right. You could go on YouTube, you can go on probably Daily Motion, you could go across the internet and see their fights, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, we got no arguments there. All right.
No argument.
Right. Difficult to work with. You've heard that quote many a times, and boxing fans say, yeah, that Eubank is difficult to work with. It's a bit of a knob. Okay.
Yep.
But what does difficult to work with mean? Let me explain something that could possibly mean difficult to work with. Here's my statement. Any fighter, Froch, any of those guys that you named there, none of those guys should ever end their careers broke. None of them. Right, none of them. Those 3 guys there. Any fighter, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, you name all those heavyweights. Name all those heavyweights. Okay, name me a fighter today that was a great fighter that's broke today.
Mike Tyson.
Okay, let's use Manny Pacquiao for example, because he's got a lot of financial problems at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one. There's one. Give me another fighter. Give me another fighter that's got serious. Who's got many money problems or broke, or was a great fighter.
Tarver.
Yeah, Tarver's a decent example. Yeah, Tarver's a good example. Okay, go. Yeah, Tarver. Let's use Tarver for example. All right. Now I'll use Tarver. I'll go back and use Chris Eubank Senior. All right. This is why I use Chris Eubank Senior as an example. Prime example. Chris Eubank Senior. How many fights of his can you see on YouTube?
I'm not 100% sure.
There's quite a few fights of Chris Eubank you can see on YouTube. Quite a few. You know, you'll see the famous Ben fight, the Thompson fight, the Collins fight, the Kawasaki fight. Then if you go on Sky Sports, you'll see him replayed over and over again. See classics. Yeah, the Ben Eubank rivalry. It's there. It's on television, or you can get TV. You can get it on YouTube. I'm getting to my point now, but just bear with me.
Yep.
Do you know that Eubank doesn't have rights to those videos? Sky Sports have rights to it, or his promoter have rights to it, or his manager has rights to it. He doesn't have rights. When you sign a contract, you also sign away your rights. Do you understand that? Do you understand what that means?
Yeah, you're basically signing away the rights from using footage and document and stuff also.
Right. So when your career is done, the promoter can use that footage whenever they want to use it, and people have to pay the promoter to play that. Like how, almost like you know how you get royalty.
Yep.
Like that. So every time like you hear a Michael Jackson song, Michael Jackson's getting money on that royalty. You understand? He's getting money on that. Always money's always coming in. Money's always coming in. Money's always coming in.
Yeah, I understand.
Mike Tyson, his whole boxing, all his fights, has he got ownership of them? No. You know that Bill Caton and his people, that you know, Don King and the people that manage Mike, they've got all of those tapes of Mike's career, and for the rest of their lives and their children's or their grandchildren, their great, they can pass those tapes down and always make money on them. Think about it. Forever making money. The way you're looking at Ali videos today, the way you're looking at Sugar Ray Robinson videos today, money is being made on that. Not by the fighter, but by the promoter or the manager. Think about that a second. Chris Eubank Sr., example, potentially, all his fights that he's had is signed and sealed to a promoter or a manager, and that manager's family have got it so that the son, future, can make money off of it, and then the son's son can make money off of it. But the boxer himself only has made money with the fights he's had. Think about that for 1 second. Does that sound right to you, Liam?
Yeah, it does, you're making a lot of sense to me, and I've been watched a lot of the Mikey Garcia interviews out of after his getting out of his contract, and it seems that a lot of the stuff you're mentioning now is the stuff that he's learned from going through that case.
Okay. So they can use your picture on anything, on everything. If they wanted to make a brand of coffee, if your face on it, they could use it, and they don't owe you a penny from that. So your whole intellectual property, you as a being, is being sold anywhere and everywhere, and you can't make a dime off of it.
So they're basically creating a brand about you, which you don't earn no money off.
Think about it. Does Anthony Joshua own all of his videos? Think about it. So all these fighters signing contracts. Think about it. One step further. Floyd Mayweather. The difficult man Floyd Mayweather to do business with. Do you know Floyd Mayweather has bought out, see all the tapes he had from HBO? He bought them all out. Took all his videos, all his fights. He owns them. Think about it. Wise investments. Think about that. Anytime somebody wants to use footage of Floyd Mayweather, they have to go through Mr. Floyd. Think about that. It's something that boxing fans need to consider. So when you hear things like difficult to deal with, David Haye, another one who has gone down the road of, you know what, any fights that belong to me, the mine, Haymaker Promotions. Why is Haymaker Promotions the way it is? Any fights that belong to him. So anything you see of David Haye belongs to him. So you may knock a fighter at one end. You may knock a fighter at one and say, oh, he's crap, he's this, that, he's difficult to work with. But on the flip side of it, what's really going on behind the scenes? These promoters and managers that give you a big smile in the face and say, oh, well, this guy's very difficult to work with. Really? Why are they so difficult to work with? Is it because they won't sell themselves out completely? That, you know, your family lineage or your family, you know, will be nicely secured, or your future, your family secured, even after that fighter retires? This is something that fighters need to think about. This is something fighters and the boxing game need to think about. How many boxing media journalists are going to talk about this? These are the things that matter. How many people are asking the question, okay, you say it's difficult to work with. Let me look at this contract a little further. Let me hear a bit more about this contract. Talk to me about perpetuity. And then Eubank mentioned this in an interview. He talked about it and started exposing it. So by exposing that and opening his mouth and talking about something, he said, all right, so you think you can say what you say and get away with it? Okay, fine, no problems. It doesn't make a difference whether it's Hennessy, Hearn, Warren. The contract is what it's about. It's not about. It's the contract. What does contract mean? Well, you break it down, contract. Back in the day, contract. The words are so powerful. Contract, if you go back in the day and break it down, contract, it was an agreement in some form of way that was going to con you. A contract, some way of pulling the wool over your eyes, called it a contract. Of course, today, we don't want to go down those sort of roads, but that's why you need to read your contract. You sign your contract, reading what you're agreeing terms to. You're basically agreeing to sign your intellectual property away. So whether it be, don't let the name of somebody is another family. It's another family, whether it be Hearn, Warren, Hennessy, whatever you want to say, Joe Bloggs, down the road, whatever. It's not the name, it's the contract. And if the contract says, sign on a dotted line and we'll give you 30 fights, we'll get you a world title shot, we'll bring you X amount of money in. Yeah, we'll give you a world title shot, we'll bring you, you get 10 million for this fight. Think about it. You're making 10 million when in essence you could be making something like 50 million. What about the other 40 million on top with all those videos of mine you've got? What about that? What about all the other licensing and all the other products you're making? Or every time I have pictures up on a billboard, what about the percentages on that? The money my face is on a billboard across the UK or across America. Am I getting any money on that? Oh, the promoter gets money. What about me? What's my cut in that? Every time my name is mentioned for the commentary team, is anything made on that? You're using my face. When you stick my face up and you put my face next to another fighter's face, that's me. That's my face. That's me you're using. When you put my face up on a poster, that's me.
Would you say, Ingram, that all the stuff you talked about here, the emergence of the last few years of MGM, Marbella, Mayweather promotions, they're going to be helping the fighters, the values of the stuff you've mentioned from this, because they know they've, or would they be looking out for themselves and trying to maximize profit for themselves?
That's a good question. I really don't know. Is it me or is it just lacking? It's lacking for a second. Yeah, it's just lacking a second. But no, I think I don't know. I really don't know. That's really not for me to say because I don't read the contracts, and I'm not saying that Eddie Hearn is this or Frank Warren's this. I'm not saying that. I'm just suggesting that if that was the case, we talk about promotions and people difficult to work with. Why are they difficult to work with? Because now you're protecting the rights of your son. Why wouldn't you want to protect the rights of your son? Good evening, our Red Sox fans. Good evening. You're missing an interesting conversation here. I want to hear what you people are thinking about this at the moment. What are you people thinking? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts on? Al, join the room, please. Here's the link. Come in the room, mate.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's a lot of stuff you've brought up tonight that I've maybe thought about in the past within football and stuff like that. Which get like take for instance Jose Mourinho, when Man United signed him as a manager. The big thing was Man United getting his rights from Chelsea.
There you go. So
a lot of stuff you've brought up tonight, I've never actually thought of in a boxing sense.
There you go. And Mike Tyson, if you're a small promoter, you get 95% chance of surviving because the big promoters just wipe the small promotions out. Yeah, but I think personally, I think there's ways of making small hall promotions work. I think there's ways of doing it. I think there's definitely ways of doing it. I think there's ways of revolutionizing and changing the small hall fights into making them big fights. You say, well, how would you do that? I wouldn't. I'm not going to give ideas away, but there's ways of doing it. But see, these people, it's just the way you think and how you put things out. You've got to be. There are some things that a big promoter hasn't got time to do. That's what I'm saying. And because a big promoter hasn't got time to do it, I think a small hall promoter could do it. That's what I'm saying. I remember back in the 80s, early 90s, well, I used to watch things on a program called Seconds Out, which was run by Nick Owen, and they used to show fights at the Bethnal Green. In Bethnal Green. And at Bethnal Green, you'd see fights, small hall shows, lots of small hall shows. And they were showing, you get to see the highlights, you get to see 1 round, 2 rounds, the knockouts, then you get the person's name. And these one, and then you'd go over to America and you see the big fights there, the highlights as well. Seconds Out with Nick Owen, it's amazing. Umit Caton says Lennox Lewis is best. Oh, maybe he is. Leon, disagree. And I just said it myself. Leon Jones disagree. The bigger promoters refuse to invest in smaller areas in the UK because their networks want bigger. The promoters like Hennessy, Hellier, Wood, Goodwin keep the sport alive. So indeed, I agree with Leon Jones there. Best ring fight, Tommy Morrison versus Michael Benn. Honest Bob, 45. I think 99% of boxers would be shown the door once they try to negotiate rights to fights. There we go. So then, hey, you do what maybe Lennox Lewis did, Nassim did, Kawasaki did. Fight up to a point where you think you're going to get superstardom. And then once you get superstardom, open your own promotional company up. Once you've got that light, and you say 2-3 years, you've got that light and you've grown. So thank you very much. I'll take it from here and move on. And then once you've got that light, I guess people want to see you fight, you've got a world title, whatever, then you pull out. Say, listen, we'll do a 10 fight or 12 fight deal. Buy my 12th fight when we're fighting for a British or when we're fighting for a Commonwealth or I'm fighting for a European. Once you get yourself in a position, then you cut out and say, I'm off.
So what would the best contract rather be? Would it be go on a fight deal or would it go on a yearly deal?
Well, I heard a contract. Listen to this contract, and I'm not saying who the promoter is, but this is real. And this is the guy that's currently fighting today, like in today's era, and he's a well-known fighter. This fighter told me when they first signed the contract, their first contract or the first fight, they got paid X amount of money. So like say for the first fight, they may have made, I don't know, 100 grand for the first fight. By the 5th fight, I think they were making 20 grand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically you're getting, they pay you X amount at the start, and then from then on you're earning their money back.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about there. And those contracts are still alive today. Or even a situation where a famous fighter, which may have a slave contract in the sense that promoter's got so much dirt on you and so much on you that could destroy your reputation outside of the ring, that it would be harmful to your product, would be harmful to your future ambitions. So therefore, you have to re-sign with that promoter. Again, no names being mentioned, but that's another example there. Or there was another situation where a fighter was about to fight, just about to go and fight in a world either a world title fight or world title defense, and they were offered a contract 20 minutes before they're going out to fight in a world title fight. Yeah. Tell me, do these guys really care about your boxing career? Who's this? Somebody else coming in the room?
Hello, Ingram. How are you?
Good evening, Al. How are we doing?
Good, thank you. Just got home from work. Thank you for the invite.
No worries. I'm just talking about fighters, contracts, and difficult to work with. Let me throw you a scenario very quickly up. Fighter, name me a fighter that you know, a world-class fighter, a world champion, great reputation, could see him a lot on television, could see him on YouTube or on major television networks, and he's broke. Name me a fighter.
Retired or act? Oh, he's Holyfield. I know has had money issues.
Okay, good example. Riddick Bowe would be another.
Yes, that's a very good example. Riddick Bowe.
Okay,
yeah.
Right. Riddick Bowe signs with his promoter. His promoter, when he signs a contract with his promoter, he signs away his intellectual property, which basically means anything, maybe all Riddick Bowe's fights, which are recorded, that manager, that promoter has that. Anything they decide to promote with his face, whether it be Riddick Bowe computer game, or Riddick Bowe boxer shorts, or Riddick Bowe boxing academy, or Riddick Bowe, anything. Basically, it's intellectual property that's been sold the minute he signs the contract. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, that promoter's son, that promoter's son's son, for the next whatever amount of time, unless they're bought out, those videos that are played every time on a big major network, Riddick Bowe doesn't make any money off of that.
No, they get the percentage, correct?
Correct. Now imagine that. Now, first of all, Riddick Bowe retires.
Yeah.
He's retired. He can't even. He has to go on the dole. He basically has to go and get Social Security. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
He has to go and get Social Security while the son of the promoter dies. Right. The son of the promoter still has videotapes on Riddick Bowe, and he's cashing in on Riddick Bowe videos. His Riddick Bowe fights. Anytime they want to do an anniversary of Holyfield versus Bowe, they show that. He makes a percentage on that. Then he makes a percentage on the Riddick Bowe Boxing Academy. Then he makes a percentage on Riddick Bowe boxing shorts. You know. And then anytime there's a convention, Riddick Bowe's there. Do you understand? There's money.
Yes.
So the person's intellectual property is no longer theirs. They are basically slaves. They don't have.
That's
own.
awful.
Now think that a second.
It's funny you brought that up, because one of the things why the reason, not to go old school, but Rocky Marciano, when he brought up to retirement, was Al Will, his manager, same type of contract. He goes, I'll be damned if he makes any more money off, any more money off me for certain things.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But I was also breaking down the word contract. Basically, back in the day, contract basically was an agreement that basically had some sort of sly way of underhanding you. Contract, which was to pull a fast one over you. So that's why you need to read your contract. Right. So yeah. So when people are now talking about, hear certain people say he's difficult to work with. Oh yeah, of course he's difficult to work with, because he's not giving you the money, and basically perpetuity they call it. He's not giving you the money, or he's not allowing you to basically rip him of all his entitlements.
I mean, these guys work very hard. That's a tough, as you know, Ingram, boxing's a tough business, and they put their lives on their line when they go in that ring, and that's why I never complain. I might say, oh, that guy got knocked out one round, but you know what? If he trained, he earned his money, regardless of what happened. And when like in any sport, but especially like a contact sport, and again we're talking about boxing, when you're done, you're done. So you better make your money and try to, if you have a good personality, you know, break into entertainment or you know, or the broadcasting or just, you know, you have to make your money when you can. And that's just awful that, like you were just saying, you know, they're showing film footage, video footage of a fighter, and he's not even getting a percentage.
There you go.
That's not right.
There you go. And you think about every boxing trainer. The boxing trainers could do that as well. Because every time you show footage of that boxing trainer in the corner, bang, that boxing trainer could get money off of it. Think about referees that could do it as well. Referees like Joe Cortez and Mills Lane. Think about every time you watch Holyfield Tyson and you've got Mills Lane in the corner, refereeing the fight. That's him. He's in the video. So you could say, hey, intellectual property right there. Think about every fight that Mills Lane has been refereed. Richard Steele,
yeah, good.
How many times you see the Richard Steele with Chavez and Taylor? How many times have people stole that fight?
Oh yeah, the first fight, yep.
Yeah, think about that again. Think about Richard Steele. How many times do you see Richard Steele in that, stopping the fight? That image. Think about that, and think about that in dollars and thousands of dollars over and over and over and over again. That's one thing. Then think about Taylor and the amount of times you see that replayed over and over again. And Chavez. Have any of those three people got rights to that footage?
Probably not.
Right.
That would be,
but I bet that promoters
the promoters or the HBO.
Right.
So I would guess the promoters, and because that Chavez fight, Mildred Taylor was HBO. Yeah, so they have the rights to those fights. Would be my guess.
Right. I notice how people in the room have gone very, very, very quiet at the moment. Oh, he's saying pick up. He's telling me to pick up. Why do I need to pick up? I'm in my room, and where is he? He's trying to call Michael. You can't get him. Oh, never mind.
So Ingram, is there a point within like video footage that it goes into like a national archive? It gets to a certain age and they're
archived
free
like
to the
Mike
public
Tyson.
anyway.
Yeah, Mike Tyson stuff was archived. Floyd Mayweather got smart to it, and he bought all it. I think it cost about $400 million for him to buy out all his boxing videos from HBO, I believe.
He did the right thing though, because in the long run, he's going to make money on that.
Now remember, Floyd always talks about, I'm making smart investments. I'm making smart investments. That's what you call smart investments.
I no matter what anyone thinks of Floyd Mayweather, like he's a great boxer,
yeah.
But I always liked when he basically went to promote himself, because he did not allow, and he had the ability, Ingram and Liam, Mark, to do that because of his popularity and stuff. But I'm glad he did that to show these, because as you were saying before, Ingram, these promoters take tremendous advantage of fighters, and if you don't have good people around you to try to protect you in a way from the promoters, bad things happen. You know.
Absolutely. So you know what? God forbid something really nasty happens to Kell Brook when he fights Gennady Golovkin. But when Brook's in that ring, look, here's an example. This is the cold light of day. When Amar Khan was laying on that canvas, all those supporters of Khan, where were they? They were like,
yep.
But do they see the after effects of what's happened to Amar Khan now? No, they just move on to the next fight. The promoter who saw that gets up, walks off,
thinks of the money he made,
checks the money he's made.
Yep.
Okay. And moves on to the next fight. Monday morning, moves on to the next fight. Oh, I'm sorry, so you got knocked out, mate. That's the fight day. That's it. So, my point is that all is not as it seems, and if everyone's giving Eubank stick at the moment, if Eubank Senior is going to get stick for protecting his son from being ripped off by this sort of behavior or this sort of attitude, then you tell me, if it was your son, would you allow your son to get ripped off blatantly like this?
No.
You wouldn't.
No.
So there's a lot of hypocrites within boxing.
So Ingram, I came in late. Was someone were they complaining it's difficult to work with Chris Eubanks Jr. and Chris Eubanks Sr.? Is that what
I'm suggesting that if that's the case,
yeah,
that it's difficult to work with you because you're not allowing us to rip you off. You're not allowing us to make lots of money and rip you off. That's difficult to work with.
That's them saying it's difficult to work with, while you're just trying to.
I'm just saying. Well, I'm not suggesting this is the case.
Right.
I'm flipping it on another side and saying,
gotcha.
Check this out. So basically, intellectual property. So hold on. All right. So you don't want commentate. You want certain commentators on your promotions. All right. That sounds funny at first, but let's put it this way: if it's your video that you're going to be buying, and it's going to be your promotion, and you're going to have your video on it. You're going to video, so why shouldn't you have your own commentators on it if it's going to be your videos in the future for your ancestors and going to move forward on it, and it's going to be spoken all around the world? Don't you want commentators that are going to be people that really are people that either have your best interest at heart or appreciate what you do?
Right.
For example, HBO, Manny Pacquiao, and what's the guy's name again?
Is it Lampley?
Jim Lampley.
Yeah.
Oh, left hand, great left hand. Pacquiao. It's like, all right, sure. There's two guys fighting this fight. You know, so I mean, you've got that there. So Jim Lampley, for example, with Pacquiao, when Pacquiao goes back and looks at his career and he looks at HBO and his kids are watching it, you know, it's almost like a one horse race unless he gets knocked out, of course.
Right.
You understand? So Chris Eubanks Jr. and Sr. are probably trying to get fight footage of themselves recorded with a commentator that's in their favour, as opposed to a commentator going, Eubanks Jr., look at him posing in the ring now. Eubanks Jr., I don't know why he's doing that posing. Oh, the opponent he's fighting tonight is so terrible. And you've got to say, Sky Sports have got biased commentary. They've got biased commentary. Much like HBO's got biased commentary, and I've heard Showtime trying to have some biased commentary as well. So I know you. I know people are on the bandwagon with the whole. Eubank was a bit of a fool for the commentary, but if you're buying the footage, or you own the footage, it's a different matter altogether. Right? J124 says there's a difference between getting ripped off and demanding ridiculous things such as wanting to charge 3 times the price of an AJ ticket. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. What I damn well want to know is in terms of the video footage and the commentary. I've just broken that commentary situation to you. I've just given you an example of the commentary where the commentary is biased at the best of times from Sky Sports, if you're not a Sky Sports golden boy, right? And the fact that you're doing things your way and not doing things the Sky Sports way, then, hey, look, I think Sky Sports respect David Haye. I think they respect the way he does business. I think they do, because every time they see him, they're trying to bring him back on Sky Sports all the time, despite the guy pulling out twice in fights. And all the money that it's cost Sky Sports, they've still got David Haye back in there. So there must be something that David does in business that Sky continue to want to work with him. Regardless of what you may think, Haye may make up promotions. Marcus, regardless of what you think, there must be something that David's doing that keeps Sky staying in love with him.
Is it because he brings in the casual fans and they get better ratings, maybe?
I don't know. I have no idea. But it's something there that we need to look into and investigate. Haye is a money maker. Well, there you go. He brings in money.
Yep.
There you go. There's an answer there. But you say he's a money maker. Well, what is it? What is the formula that he's using to make the money? I know back in the day when David used to fight, he used to have open gym workouts, and he used to have the fans come in and have Haye Day and get him to sign autographs. I ain't seen none of that stuff since Haye's returned. Does he need to do that? I don't know. So those are my thoughts about, the whole, was it perpetuity that I was talked about, and you know, Liam, do you have anything to add to that?
Are we going to go into talking about what they can do to change that as fighters? Because as we've been speaking, a few things have come into my head of what fighters can do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, ask you a few questions. You're on YouTube now. Who
Yeah.
has the rights to the video we're recording now? Is it you or YouTube?
I think I'm a partner with YouTube, so I guess.
So you're right. So you're a partner of YouTube.
Yeah.
So
There's a percentage.
Going forward,
Going forward, I would originally I had my own network. I literally had my own online television. So, and I will be going back to that. So YouTube won't be doing what they're doing at the moment. So that's what I'm going back to.
So could fighters technically do the same?
Yeah, of course they could. And I would encourage every fighter, open a YouTube channel up and get someone to record your fights. That's what I would do. And I don't know why more boxers don't do it.
That's the point I was going to get to. Well, that's why I asked you the question of how much YouTube own of this video and how much you own. And would you have any right if YouTube decided tomorrow to use clips of your stuff and sell it to Sky Sports, for instance? How much right would you be able to say to them, no, I don't want you to let Sky Sports use this video?
Well, they'd have a problem because this is under BaylorIC and BaylorIC TV, and BaylorIC TV is actually an American company.
Yeah,
so
you couldn't do that. They'd have to get your permission.
Yeah, exactly, and it's an American company as well. They couldn't get away with it as easily as they probably would get away with it in the UK. So they'd have to get through some laws down. We're protected by a lot of laws as an American company, and this is just part of.
Now, me asking you these questions are the sort of questions the fighters would have to ask themselves if they wanted to move onto YouTube and put fighters onto YouTube as well, because as Sky Sports could be doing what they're doing to them, YouTube could do the same. So I'm just asking questions.
I would say to fighters, well, what they could do is, they could start off on YouTube, but I would actually suggest for them to get their own website and have their own online TV station of their fights.
Yeah.
And then advertise on the website with AdSense, AdWords, advertise to bring punters in and advertise that way. And then maybe charge, I don't know, a 15p or 20 pence a fight to watch. A 20p a fight or 10 pence a fight. But
that way you're selling your own adverts as well, and so on.
Yeah, and then you could charge people to watch your fights. Literally charge them 10p, 20p, 30p. Or
just like they'd be buying a ticket to go watch live.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And then they can live stream fights as well. Well, who's going to stop them live streaming? If you can live stream with Periscope, then what's stopping you live streaming your own fight?
Yeah, agree.
I hear silence. And the thing is, see, this is the sort of stuff that boxing journalists should be covering. It was quite funny, and I'm not bitter about this, angry, upset, but it's just something I want to throw there. I went and applied for accreditation for Golovkin versus Brook. Now, I'm not bitter about this at all, and I'll explain why I'm not bitter about this. Because if you watch me carefully, I don't go to press conferences and I don't turn up to big events, specifically because when you go to these events, you're being controlled when to say, who to talk to, how long you can talk to that person for, and you're in a list online of people, so you're only getting 2 and 3 minutes of that person or 10 minutes of that person, and they're constantly repeating themselves over and over and over again. So you don't really get them in their real natural state. You get a sound bite of what they're saying over and over again. So I try and avoid them, right? But, I thought to myself, okay, out of all those people that are going to turn up to Golovkin versus Brook, how many of those media people are actually going to do stuff that's actually going to be speaking unbiased, telling you the news unbiasedly, or how many of them are actually going to examine the dark side of the sport? How many of them are going to actually uncover and ask questions? A lot of them won't. The majority of them are going to sit there, get their seat, sit down, watch the fight, and then if poor Kel gets hurt, I won't say much about it. Oh, well, he fought Golovkin. What do you expect? Golovkin's a big puncher. I mean, is this guy... I mean, I go back to Kell Brook. is he even equipped to fight Golovkin defensively? You got a guy who's was a gold medalist, and you saw what he did in the Olympics and the sort of guys he beat in the Olympics. Guys who were better skilled than him, Boutte and Durrell, in the amateurs, and then you turn him pro now. And, Golovkin's a very, very talented fighter. Heavy-handed, pound for pound, one of the best fighters in the world, against a guy who defensively is not that cute. He's easy to hit. His head is open for big shots all over. And if you're having problems against fending off someone like Carson Jones, who, let's be honest, is not as skilled as Gennady Golovkin, you're going to have real issues. And then you're not even to say, oh, you're bringing the welterweight up to middleweight. You're bringing the speed up with you. How do you know you're bringing the speed up with you? Have you fought middleweight before? Have you punched a middleweight before?
A question for you, Ingram, then, right,
Yes.
as well. You have you ever approached a fighter for an interview and they've said, I'm gonna have to get back to I'm gonna have to speak to my promoter and manager and get back to you about if I can do the interview?
Yeah, I've heard crap like that before. Yeah, I've heard crap like that before with guys that I've been very tight with. Very, very tight with. I mean, like, they'll call me to sit down and just talk, just general talk. And then they get to a certain point, and then they feel that they're superstars, so they don't need to talk to you no more. You understand? And the same people and then when they become superstars now, they then slate the media, say, well, the media not give me good press. Hold on a second. They're the media that you've gone to because you feel now you're a superstar, and the people that were looking after you and giving you light in your career,
you passed over them.
Yeah, so you get what you deserve.
Because you do, and just, I'm going to plug you, Ingram, because I love your interviews. We get to learn so much about the boxers and the trainers when they're on. They seem much more natural with you.
Yes.
And it's like a conversation. It's just a regular conversation. It's very enjoyable. So I love your interviews, and I think everyone who's seen them loves your interviews. We get a lot more insight. Things like with Mr. Bashir, the insight I get just listening to you do the interviews. Things that Abel Sanchez also, but more with Mr. Bashir, because you ask him some really interesting questions. You have some good back and forth, and it's insight. As a boxing fan, I'm just ecstatic to hear about. Just little things I didn't. You wonder about, like, oh, that's interesting. Like when he's just telling, like the Teddy. It's funny when he brought up Teddy Atlas and Freddie Roach. Okay, they're trainers. They're pretty good. But you always hear them. And I always said that. I was like, okay, they say the same thing over and over again. And my big thing with them was, and he mentioned it, I said, that's exactly what, like Freddie Roach, he takes, and again, God bless him, he's not building up a fighter, okay? He's not taking that fighter from point A to point B to point C and so on. And I'm not saying he couldn't. I'm just saying he's getting the fighters afterwards. Some people might say, oh, Emmanuel Stewart at the end. But Emmanuel Stewart had chronic gym, and he built a lot of fighters. You go back to Hilmer Kente and Tommy Hearns, Milton McQuarrie, and there are other fighters who were good who might not have won championships. So, yeah, at the end, you know what it was? It wasn't him going out to get fighters. And I'll say this, God rest Emmanuel Stewart's soul. I met him at a charity event. And he was wonderful, really great person to talk to. This is years ago. There were people who went to fighters who went to him. I don't know the whole background, but they wanted to go work with Emmanuel Stewart because he was very good. Where I see like Freddie Roach and like a Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas, I guess before what fighters besides? Has he really had? That's just I didn't mean to get off subject. I was saying how much I enjoy your interviews.
Thank you. Coming very soon. There we go. J. Henry UK. Boxing is a game of cherry picking ever since the golden era went.
That's
a good point. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Coming soon, Tony Harrison. We'll be talking about his career.
Excellent.
I spoke to Tony Harrison tonight, so I was going to try and get him on the show actually, and have a chat with him and see what he had to say for himself. So Tony Harrison, and we will have, fingers crossed, next week we'll have some updates on the Tyson Fury situation. So looking forward to that. And I've spent the last 3 days trying to talk to Abel Sanchez, but he won't pick up his phone. But he will pick up his phone, and I will talk to Abel Sanchez. I'll chase him up tonight. Yeah. So where were we? Thank you for that. I appreciate that, by the way, Al. So where were we, guys? Please, somebody bring me up to speed.
Oh, it was market. Liam had brought up a great point about the YouTube and the fighters streaming and you know.
But just think about it. It's not just boxing. Think about every footballer. You know, and then every footballer. Here is a great story. Who remembers Emmanuel Augustus, the drunken master boxer? Remember Emmanuel Augustus?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Oh, did he change his name to Burton, or was it? Did he had a lot of losses, but he was a really good fight.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I know who you're talking.
Yes.
He was a really good fighter, but he had like a lot of losses early on in his career.
Yeah, he was, and then his manager took him over. And do you know what his manager did for him? You talk about you've got a lot of joke managers around today. Do you know what his manager did for him?
No, I do not.
His manager got him on Fight Night.
Oh, on ESPN.
Knockout Kings.
Oh, the game! Wow.
Yes.
He was a good fighter, though. I mean, he was.
How the hell does he get on Knockout Kings? So he got the deal for him to be on Knockout Kings.
Finally, someone was looking out for him a little bit.
There you go. So that's what he's managed. So listen, for me, here's how a fighter can make the maximum. I'm giving away some sort of not secrets, but here's where PBC I think falls flat on its face. PBC fighters have got, when it comes to personality, zero. And here's my example of this: guys like Keith Thurman, Deontay Wilder, Danny Garcia. Who's another PBC fighter? Give me another PBC fighter.
Paulie Malignaggi's fought on there, but I don't know if he's a PBC fighter.
Forget Paul.
Errol
Spence. Okay,
yeah.
4. And okay, let's throw in James DeGale, Lee Selby. You know, those are 6 there.
Algieri's fought on there a couple of times.
7. Algieri, 7.
Yeah.
Go ahead, 7. Name me another fighter.
Alexander.
Yeah. 8.
Leo Santa Cruz, Cole
9.
Frampton.
Go ahead. Another one.
Adrian Broner's fought on.
No, Broner's a little different. I'll tell you why Broner's different.
Okay.
Because Broner's crossed over. Broner, you've seen Broner, actually seen him do, and people don't quite get it, yeah? Broner's done rap. He might not be great at rap, but you've seen him be with rappers and Lil Wayne. You've seen him do boxing, right? So you've seen him cross over into the entertainment industry, all right? So I think, why is he doing that? I mean, he's not great at what he does, but you've seen him cross over into the entertainment industry there.
It builds his audience.
Yeah, so your audience is not just boxing, right? Okay.
Garcia's done that. Danny Garcia's done that as well.
Danny Garcia's
Danny Garcia
did a track. He did 1 track or 2 tracks or something like that. All right, Danny Garcia.
I've seen produce his sister, White's sister as well.
Yeah, Danny Garcia. But all right, De La Hoya. Look at De La Hoya. When De La Hoya did it, look what De La Hoya did when he did it. Remember when De La Hoya went and did singing? Okay,
yeah, he did the Mexican music.
And then his wife was a famous singer as well.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So there you go. So, but my point is this: Danny Garcia. I'll still put Danny Garcia in there, even though he's Danny Garcia. Because really, Danny Garcia, if you think about it, it's his pops that gives Danny. If Danny Garcia didn't have his pops, who the hell would care about Danny Garcia? Honestly, being brutally honest, who would care about Danny Garcia?
Well,
what does Danny Garcia do that's so spectacular? I love Danny Garcia. What does he do so spectacular? Tell me.
I like him though. He's an enjoyable fighter. But yeah, I know what you're saying. His father promotes him his father is his personality.
All right.
In a way.
Okay. Imagine Danny Garcia's dad having the personality of Danny Garcia.
Yeah, better.
Danny'd have to be a much more better fighter.
This is my point. Okay,
I know.
here's my point. Deontay Wilder, bomb squad, great, fantastic. That's it. But okay, that's just for boxing. Outside of boxing, Deontay Wilder, heavyweight champion of the world. Talk to me.
Yeah, you don't hear nothing.
Mike Tyson, when he was heavyweight champion of the world, you saw Mike Tyson was a guy that you saw cross over. You know, he knew him globally. Japan, China, the UK, Australia. People knew who the heavyweight champion of the world was. Merchandise. There was the
boxing game.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to drop yourself into the gaming industry. That's the entertainment industry. You've got all gamers, and everyone's trying to beat Mike Tyson. So of course you see this scary guy in the ring knocking guys out, but at the same time you've got him out there. That's marketing. Keith Thurman. There's an example. Another guy. Yeah, okay, he's a good boxer that punches well. All right, and what I'm saying is these guys, they because PBC don't have people that can market and have the brains, the two cells. And I'd say if you get these guys like Thurman on like a Conan O'Brien or on a what do you call it, one of these chat shows or the Daily Show, or you get these guys, get them doing a cereal commercial like for Kellogg's, or you look at Ali. Ali was even on what do you say?
He was on a cartoon. They did him. What was was it not Scooby Doo? I think it might have been Scooby. I can't remember now.
Yeah, but he was in a cartoon as well.
Yes, he was.
WWE the wrestling. Look at Floyd Mayweather. They laugh at Floyd Mayweather. How many are these other fighters? All right, let me give you something. Can you imagine Gennady Golovkin being in WWE?
No. Muhammad Ali actually did a wrestling thing too with.
That's what I'm saying. The crossover. So these guys, all these boxing guys that say to themselves today, "I'm getting paid well, good money. Thank Al Heyman." Okay, why Al Heyman's paying you? Do you have rights to your fights? You're getting paid well today, but have you got rights to your fights? Has Thurman and Porter got rights to their fights? Has Frampton and Santa Cruz? Frampton may stand a bit of a chance because of Cyclone Promotions, but have they got rights to their fights?
I would guess not.
Right. So I think, in my humble opinion, who doesn't know much, but in my humble opinion, I would say these guys on the PBC need to get out. They need not a social media man. They need they just need a social manager, full stop. A guy who do commercials, get them into commercials. For God's sake, Lennox Lewis did a commercial. Heavyweight champion of the world. He damn well did a commercial with the Metropolitan Police. Who cares about that? And then he did another commercial, and he was in a small little mini metro. This big 6'5" giant in a little mini metro. What? So things that would suit the heavyweight champion of the world in America, Deontay Wilder, should be everywhere. So even his hands is damaged at the moment, he should be everywhere. He should be doing interviews like on big chat shows. I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. He should be giving it like bomb squadding everywhere.
Similar to AJ is on English TV.
Yeah.
Frank Bruno used to do a lot of things, correct, Ingram?
Bruno was in pantomime. You laugh at him, but look, Bruno's still broke today, isn't he?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Right. So people took advantage of Frank.
Yeah, but I mean, he was in a lot of things.
HP Sauce.
Yeah, I remember that he showed that commercial one time before one of his fights on
Yeah,
that was actually kind of funny.
So these are sort of strategies. You talk about media and you talk about stuff. I just think, you know who I got a lot of time for and I got a lot of respect for? Josh Warrington. Whoever is behind Josh Warrington, they get it. Josh Warrington gets himself behind a big or football club or a rugby club. He gets it. The Leeds Rhinos or the football team, whatever, they get it. Bellew kind of gets it with the whole Everton Football Club. Do you understand? He's got Everton football, the attachment there. And he really has. He goes to the football ground and you can see that there's some attachment between the Everton fans and him. There's something there. Not like Warrington. You can see it's there. You know what I mean? So I think
Ricky Hatton was a man.
there you go.
Fans.
See, but okay, Ricky Hatton. Look at Ricky Hatton's situation today. It's a sad situation, Ricky Hatton. And this is one of the most popular. See, one of the most popular fighters in Britain. But has he really got money to kind of laud it? He hasn't. To live a comfortable lifestyle. Has he got it? What about all those Hatton fights that people are watching on YouTube? All those Hatton fights that people are going to watch on Sky Sports? Is he making money on
Well,
those videos?
I seen an interview the other day with Ricky Hatton. He said he was quite fortunate that he invested his money very wisely.
What about those fights? Yeah,
I don't know about the fights, right? But I'll just see.
Well, there you go.
He personally said.
He said. I mean, I know that only the other day I was using a pair of Hatton mitt pads for doing some boxing coaching down at one of the schools I was at, right? And it had Hatton mitts there. That was spreading the Hatton name, but I mean, God knows, no, I don't know how many young people would have known who Ricky Hatton was. You know, so is that the sort of investments he's talking about? I don't know. The Hatton Academy, I mean, how well is that doing? Is it good? I mean, is he going to take it around the world? What's he going to do with it? How's he taking it around the country? How does it work? I mean, these are all things. Back to my PBC point, though. How many of those PBC fighters are well promoted? They're in a hole, and they're all like, thanks to Al Heyman, I'm getting paid well. I just need to fight and make some money, and I'm getting paid. That's it. You don't need to see no more of me because I'm getting paid. But
now, Ingram,
go ahead, Al.
Ingram, do you think that the promoter picked certain fighters because just what you said? They're happy, they're getting paid well, they're on TV, and he can basically, they're managing their career. Even though they have managers, they're saying, we're going to put you on TV, we're going to have sort of these round robins, and you know, they went out and they got a specific type of fighter that they felt they could control.
Yeah, well, think about it. Just think about it.
So basically, you're saying these promoters like yes men.
Well, they see the money for today, but not tomorrow. I'd be very. It's just I don't know, but I tell you something. I would like to know what these guys are really doing. They all do. They all have, but they all have to say. If you watch, they all have the same pattern. Fight comes up, you see their faces, and then they all go quiet. Now I remember a time. This is how I know there's a difference. Where Keith would fight before a fight. You hear Keith Thurman all over the place. And then after the fight, you'd hear Keith Thurman all over the place. Now, you're only hearing Keith Thurman a little bit here and a little bit there. Fight time, a little bit here and a little bit there. That's it. Really? What's all that about? Why is that happening? Are they trying to make it that a guy has got more mystique, that you don't see as much of him around? Or what? Or just, I'm getting paid well now, so I don't have to do the interviews no more.
It's a good question, Ingram. I think I like the PBC just because I get to see pretty good fighters on TV.
Yes.
And they're making some money. I'm happy about that for them. But I agree totally. I mean, I'd like to see fighters have people there who are in there for their best interest. You know, everyone make money, but have some best interest for your fighter. But I think the PBC is lacked, just on the PBC point, not the fighter's point. I think you hit it on the head. They really don't promote it well. I mean, you got to have some personalities out there. And like you said, oh, I was just gonna say that. I was thinking about what else you said. You don't see like these fighters going on like after Porter and Thurman. You think that someone would have hit a talk show or something? You know, like even that was on NBC. You think they would have thrown them on the NBC late night show to say, "Oh, that was such a great." Both of them, you know, you guys gonna do it again? It was such a great fight. It was an enjoyable fight, but you didn't see any of it. And that's a great point you make. I was just, when you were saying that, I was thinking about that fight particularly. God, that was a really fun TV fight, and there was a little buzz, but there was nothing after saying, you know, with a follow up kind of with it.
There you go. So I mean, I'm just asking questions, and I don't know. I have no facts, but I'm gonna do more. I will be doing more digging. I will be asking more questions. And
so why don't none of these fighters as well get signed to like Nike and Adidas and places like that?
You look at Prince Nazim Hamed. When he signed with, was Adidas he signed with? Yeah, it was Adidas because I remember him coming out boxing with the Adidas shorts. And Roy Jones Jr. had a deal with Nike. I remember. Nike.
Yes, Roy Jones Jr. had, because he had the God, did he have the swoosh right on his boxing trunks?
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. And his boots.
Yes.
Because I remember them on Fight Night, on the Fight Night games where you could get the Roy Jones boots. And if you remember, if you go back in the time, there was a time where guys like Bernard Hopkins, they would advertise the name of gambling companies.
Yes, on their back. And they banned that because they didn't want the fighters to make the money, because they said they went directly to the fighters. Oh, I remember. Oh my God, I wish I could remember the fight. Ingram. They literally did something.
Back.
Yes. But even the TV, they did something so they blurred the back. I wish I could remember the fight because they were so mad. I want to say it was a Canadian fighter who was a lightweight and a champ. Oh God, I can't remember. But he used to do that. He had the painted on advert.
Was that Cherry by any chance?
I'm sorry?
Was that Cherry?
Oh, I don't remember. He was a Canadian. He was like a shortish Canadian lightweight champ, very durable. I want to say his last name started with a D, and I'm going to look it up in a second. Boy, because he
make a comparison as well with this. Making a comparison with this is Man United can be sponsored by Nike, but David Beckham could be sponsored by Adidas and make his own money from Adidas, even though he's paying for a team sponsored by Nike.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, can it happen? I don't know if it can.
No, it does happen all the time, don't it, in football?
Yeah, I guess so.
So the footballer's making all that money himself. Where in boxing, every deal where boxer signs, the manager and the promoter are making money off every deal. Right,
and they get a cut of it. And if you've signed your intellectual property away, then think about it. Any deal that could potentially come up. Oh yeah, we'd like to make a deal with so and so. Oh yeah, okay, you can make the deal. Yeah, we can make the deal. You're gonna have to come through us. Can't go directly to him. Come through us. Come through me. Wait, but you're not taking the punches. It don't matter. Read your contract, son. Your contract. So it's just something that I think boxing fans need to think about and consider. Just look into it a little bit more. And when we see things like the whole Andre Ward situation, or we see a Chris Eubank situation, step back and think, okay, this is what they're telling us. What's really going on? What's really going on here?
So is it something that boxers need to be aware of before they sign contracts? And how, if that is the case, how do people get the word out to the boxers to make sure they do know this stuff before they sign contracts?
The problem is that they're taking advantage of people, the promoters and even the managers, Mark and Ingram, and you know that.
Absolutely.
Like Ingram had said, you have to have someone who has your well-being looking out for the fighter also, whether it's your manager or your father or your whoever, your friend, because most boxers come from lower economics, and they're going to see the money, and God bless them, it's okay, I'm going to make this money, but they're not looking at the who's really looking out for them. That's the point that we've all been trying to make. And so they're going to sign the contract. They're signing this big 4-fight contract, and in these 4 fights, they're going to make $1 million each fight. I'll make it simple for myself. And that's great money. But like there might be, like Ingram was saying, who owns the rights to certain things? And even if they don't own those rights, the fighter, are they even at least getting a percentage, of replays? And then even then, who's helping the fighter promote himself? Like Ingram, we were bringing up, and you brought up, Liam, doing these other little if the fighter's popular and can get into like other type of promotions, So I think Don King said something. It was no matter what you think of Don King, he's an interesting human being. That's all I'll say. He said, "I'll never." It was mind-boggling to me, but then it made sort of sense. He goes, "You could show someone sometimes a check and say that's $1 million check, but if I show up with $50,000 in a briefcase and I open that up, they go, that's cash. I just remembered how he it was a I'm paraphrasing in a way, but it was like a ploy he used
Yeah.
where he would say, if you just showed up and you're trying to negotiate with someone, come sign with me, and I show you a lot of cash, they're going to sign the contract. And a lot of those guys, I mean, a lot of, I'm not even just going to say that, a lot of promoters take advantage. I mean, they're in it to make money. I get that, but I think they make a lot of money. I think they could be a little more sympathetic to the people who are in there with their blood, sweat, and tears, we'll say. There's no pension for boxers when it's over. There's no like Ingram, like Ingram said, and anyone, and Liam, you know this as well. When the boxer's done, he's done. Who cares about him? His loved ones, his family, his friends. But if he didn't have proper, he's got to. Any athlete, I don't get mad anymore about what athletes make, even though sometimes you look and go, my God, how much? We get up, we go to work, and look, they make that, and you have to make it when you can make it, because when it's done, it's done. So, it's just people taking advantage of other people. It happens in all walks of life, and then we just see it more with boxing because we're watching it, and you're like, oh, and you hear like these stories like, oh, wow, he's broke. How is he broke? He made X amount of millions during his career, and then you look, and we won't even mention fighter's name. You can say, well, did he really? Should someone have told him you really don't need those 3 really large houses? Maybe 1 would suffice. Should someone have told him just other things? It's just, I find it's sad, like when you see people who have brought enjoyment to us as boxing fans, and I always say this when I do my little podcasts here and there. I want to see a good fight. I know it's a hurt game. I never want to see anyone really hurt. Boxing injuries, I get that. That's part of it. But it's sad when you see these guys, regardless of walk of life, race, color, creed, whatever, and you see them and you're like, how can they not? No one looked out for them just a little bit. Where's their money? Because they worked hard. And like Ingram said, these guys, they have no rights to a lot of things, and so you have to make the most of what you can when you can do it. Maximize. That's the word I was looking for.
Absolutely, absolutely. And these promoters and managers do not want you to maximize, because they look at you and they think, right, I'm getting 98% out of you, and you're only going to get 2%, right? It's going.
Why would they want to change that? Exactly.
Right, and that's how it's going to be. That's my cut. You make 2%. I'm the promoter, 98%. I'm going to look after my family, and my future family, and my future family. So we can always maintain a high living lifestyle. While I don't care. You're coming to me. Whereas when the boxer now turns up, he's thinking this is a 50-50 deal.
Yeah.
Right? So now when you come along and say, nah, hold on a second. I've looked at this contract, and this ain't all. Listen, if I'm getting in there and I'm fighting, then I want to get paid a certain amount of money, and I want certain things in place. Oh, you're difficult to work with. Really? A lot of these people here that talk out their backsides, like I said, if it was your son that was going into those situations, unless you're an idiot, you wouldn't want that for your son or your daughter, whether it be in the sports industry, the entertainment industry, the banking industry, whatever. You wouldn't want to see your family basically work as slaves to the benefit of somebody else's life.
You said you'd rather have a certain amount of money for the fight.
Yeah.
When you if you say, oh, you want I'm going to give you a certain amount of percentage, it makes the promoter work hard.
Yeah.
Because you make more money from percentage.
Yeah.
From a sales point.
What am I actually paying you to do? You're promoting. What am I paying you to do? Oh, it's all right. For example.
Promote me.
Oh, really? Okay. So what exactly are you gonna do? Stick me on Sky? Okay, fine, great. But that's a platform you've got. So it's not actually you that's actually doing the promoting. It's somebody else is interviewing me. Somebody else is interviewing me to promote the fight. I still have to promote myself because it's me who they're going to come and talk to. So this promotion thing, okay. So you're able to talk about a fight and say, oh yeah, it's going to be a great fight. Buy its pay-per-view, and then the commercial comes out. Who does the commercial? Who gets that commercial done together? Is it you who does the commercial? I don't think so. So how much of that percentage? Oh, actually, the percentage cuts down to maybe somebody else having to do the production team. How does that work?
The lower percentage you pay someone, the harder they're going to work for you, because the more after they're going to earn.
Yeah, you'll definitely pull your finger out because you have to make that money. You're making these people work, and they don't want that.
Yeah, where the promoters have it, unfortunately, over the fighters, they have the connections, they have the relationships. Where that's why I'm happy. Like I said, regardless of what someone thinks of Floyd Mayweather, I was so happy when he went into his own promotion. And everyone's out. What are you? You're nuts. He makes good. God bless him. I'm glad he makes all that money, right? I'm just saying I was happy to see. And De La Hoya did it before him when he broke away. Who was it? Was it Bob Arum Ingram who promoted?
Yeah, he left Bob Arum.
And then De La Hoya came up with his Golden Boy where he's promoting his own fights.
Yeah.
And then he just went to who was it? Is it just them two, Ingram, De La Hoya, and Mayweather? Any other fighters have they gone on to?
Joe Kazaki did it. Lennox Lewis did it.
Oh, Joe Calzaghe did it. Okay.
Who else did it?
David Haye's doing it now.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But before all that happened, there was Audley Harrison that first did it. Audley Harrison did it.
Really?
Yeah, Audley Harrison did it.
Wow, interesting.
Audley Harrison caught hell from Frank Warren. He caught hell from Frank Warren, I believe, and he caught hell from some well-known pundits as well for doing it. And Audley was just trying to look after himself. That's why he tried to do the management, promotion.
Audley Harrison was the UK heavyweight, right? I'm trying to remember. Okay.
He tried to do it all himself. Now, if he does try to do it all himself, now you can understand he had that 10 fight, all that 5-fight deal with Sky, with BBC. You got $1 million for it or something like that. But that's somebody trying to take control of the career. So I think before Haye had it, his promotions, Audley had it. So Audley understood the situation. He saw the situation for what it is and how these sharks were operating. He said, you know what? I ain't doing that. I'm going to do it this way. And so therefore, Audley got mocked for it. And, you saw he did that promotion where he had a fight, and then I think Herbie Hyde was at one of their fights, and it all turned up having rioting in the actual. It was a fight that he actually set up. I think he got the security for it, paid for the venue, all of it.
Oh, it was just a pure promotion. He wasn't on the card?
Yeah, he was fighting on.
Oh, he was on the okay.
Yeah, same night he's promoting. He was the promoter. He was the promoter, and he was the fighter, and he dealt with security and all stuff. So it was.
I mean, that's another thing. It might. Even if the boxer is going to do that, he still has to have some people around him that he can trust to help him with it, because that's a lot to have on anyone's plate, And
I know people that were close to him, and Audley, people can say what they want, but I can tell you from the inside, Audley's career went downhill the minute his original manager, left him. He went downhill the minute his original manager left him.
Ingram, can I ask you?
I know his original manager very, 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 very well.
Because I'm not familiar.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I'm not familiar with this. Can you just why, if you can share?
If I'm correct, Audley was about 14-0 and 15-0, unbeaten fighter. And then I think his manager left him, and if I'm right, he fought Danny Williams the first fight. And going into the Danny Williams fight, from what I understand, in his dressing room, supposedly, reportedly, allegedly, his wife was tying up his bootlace.
Really? Huh.
Allegedly. So, you have it there. I think,
Ingram, I did find that fighter that I was the one who had the when we were talking about the promotions on their back, like painted on promotions.
Yes.
It was Leonard Dorin.
I remember him.
Yeah.
I remember Dorin. I remember him well. I was actually a fan of Dorin.
Yeah, he was a Canadian lightweight.
He was Canadian, and he fought Iran Barkley.
I know I know he fought.
No, that's something else to talk about.
Yeah. No, he fought Arturo. I just remember he was one of the first fighters.
Who was the guy that fought? Who was the guy that it was world champion, white guy, world champion, and then Barkley fought him and beat him?
Oh, was it Keith Van Horn?
Van Horn, that's it. Yeah. You remember Van Horn?
Yeah,
I liked Van Horn. He was a good fighter.
I remember what I remember about Keith Van Horn. He was a good fighter. He was actually. I mean, I remember when they had brought over Gianfranco Rossi, who was a Italian European fighter, and he had beaten. You want to talk about weird styles? He was very athletic, Gianfranco Rossi, but had this weirdest. He would throw a jab. It was clutch, grab, punch, punch out. It was like and he was so horribly awkward, but he had skill in a weird way. And they brought him over thinking, oh, this is gonna be an easy touch. You know, it was, and I'll never forget when Rossi beat him, and then beat him again in the rematch. And then that's when, and again, Rossi was it was a decent fight. I remember what Donald Curry did to him. He destroyed him, but he knocked him down. But to his credit, he got up every time. He didn't quit on his. I think he eventually did quit on his stool though. But he got up like 7 times. He what a beating each of them. But then because Van Horn stepped up when Iran Barkley was at super middleweight, right? Yeah. Barkley had some really. I know I don't want to get off subject, so I'm sorry. I was just.
Well, I know I'm going to wrap this up anyway because we're almost close to 12. But we've been going since 9:30. But yeah, I think I'll call this video "The Dark Side of Boxing," just for people to have a think about it and have a think and yeah.
Ingrid, quick question: in the UK and also Liam, is there because they've been talking about this every once in a while in the US about like a federal boxing commission to try to set up pensions and this and that for fighters?
Yeah, I think there's a retired boxing federation, but I personally think, in my personal opinion, I think every fighter should have automatically when they turn pro a pension fund. So X amount of money is put to their career.
X amount of money from the pool, like from wherever it's earned, should be. Yes, I like that because you could have the guy. I'll just use the term like a club fighter who fought a lot. I'm not saying he should make obviously, but they should be. That was his job, And there should be some sort of pension for any. Obviously, the more you fought, the more you would get out of it. Obviously,
how you do it if they're gonna say, okay, we're gonna hold your videos or hold your. I said, okay, so you're gonna hold my fights, all right? But every percentage you get of that fight, that show, I want a percentage of that set back into a fund for my pension. Yep. Right, so whatever happens to me, guys.
Or you could every fight they have, if they're A side or the B side of that fight, a percentage of that fight goes to their pension fund, and it's the same for the A side and the B side.
I wouldn't even call it a pension fund. I would probably call it a retirement fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, retirement, because you don't know when they're going to retire. The injury or
Right.
But I hate to say this, like Brook fighting Golovkin, that could be his last fight.
It could be any boxer's last fight. You're right. When you walk in that ring. Yep.
This is my point. And the percentages heighten or lessen depending on the skill factor and the ability and look at Nick Blackwell, poor Nick Blackwell. Nobody thought Nick Blackwell going into that fight against Chris Eubanks
was going to go in a coma. Yeah.
That was going to be his last fight. Yeah. Haye, how are we doing, my brother?
Well, and more opportunities they could give these not so good fighters as roles within boxing as referees or judges, or encourage them to get into stuff like that as well.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Right. Is there anything else anyone wants to say before I close the show up?
Thank you very much. Again. Yeah, thank you for having myself on also, Ingram. Always nice talking to you and Liam and the chat. You do a wonderful job. I just appreciate it. So I wish I was in earlier, but I just got home from work. So
that's cool. That's fantastic. Al, Liam, are you both on Skype?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, great. When you finish Skype, I'll chat to you both. So don't disappear anyway. try and get yourself on Skype. I'll talk to you afterwards. For everybody else, thank you all so much for tuning in to watch BaylorIC TV World Boxing News. I've just called it for this week because that's what we talked about. We talked a little bit about the World Boxing News. We talked about Liam Smith, Canelo. We talked about David Haye. We talked about Marcus Maidana's retirement. Talked about Andre Ward. Talked about Chris Eubank Jr., Chris Eubank Sr., Gennady Golovkin, and Kell Brook's weight. I don't care that he's weighing more than Golovkin now. 30 days in, I don't give a damn. Honestly, it doesn't do anything to me. Doesn't do anything for me whatsoever. I don't care what he weighs fight night. The thing I care about is what happens when Gennady hits him. And the other thing I ask myself the question is, you know, how does he fight night at middleweight? That's the questions I want the answers to. You know, I didn't think he was the most fastest mobile welterweight. Now he's moved up to middleweight. I can't see how the how you gonna know how that muscle's gonna be on you come fight night. I just think it'll weigh him down personally. Anyway, neither here nor there. Now, thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, rate, and share the video. Like it, share it, and tell other people about the channel. This has been Ingram Jones from BaylorIC TV. Thanks for tuning in. I'm out. Take care. Thanks again.